comes from the Philistines, right? And the Romans in 135 CE specifically
He's talking
were
about
they
why he thinks
renamed
Palestine is a myth. He said,
and
like,
so that was
I'll
the
just let him
battle
talk.
of Bar Kokhba
He
revolved
kind of already
around
said his whole shtick,
132
and I'm
to
recording late,
135
but
CE. And so, in order to punish the Jews, he renamed Jerusalem Alia Capitoline, and then he renamed the province of Judea to Syria Palestina. Syria for the Assyrians that were enemies of the Jewish people, and Palestina because the Philistines were seafaring people that colonized the western coast of Israel, right? Cities like Ashkelon, Gaza, and
Yeah.
so yeah, it's completely like a European term created to undermine indigenous peoples. Not the, so it's like the whole history is like shifted, you know?
But this, okay, so yeah, no, I get
so
where
what?
arguing this
Hold
shit
on,
across
hold
the
on, hold
country.
on, bro.
But then from
So
that point, they had
that
to
doesn't prove that Palestine is a myth. Also, let me turn down this.
because there were people who lived in that region from that point, right?
Yeah,
Like,
Jews,
what is his? What even is his point? Is he retarded?
Palestinians, they're not Arabs.
It was supposed to be a whole bunch of people who lived
Like,
there.
yeah, I agree with you. It's the Jews and a bunch of other Levantine people, right? But not Arabs. They're not the people that nowadays call themselves Palestinians.
So where does the modern-day Palestinians fit in?
Well, a significant amount of them are simply Arabs. That's what they call themselves. Like, I've actually had conversations out in Damascus. I have this one guy, like, what means more to you, being a Palestinian or being an Arab? He says Arab, right?
He
Because
posted this on his story as if it meant something. I saw that.
the Arab world started maybe at the time, right? And because of the Arab conquest in the second century, many of these Arabs dispersed and went to Algeria, Egypt, the Levant, and they had children in the Levant with Levantine women, and so you have these kids that have Levantine DNA, but also have significant J1, Arab haplogroup DNA as well, and so. But mainly their cultural connection, and you could say linguistic connection, and loyalty to the region is that's where the majority of them come from.
I'm just looking into this.
Do you
Clearly,
see
they come
his
from like
facial expression after that? He thought he
different
cooked.
roots. Some of them have ancient ties to the land. You have talking about the Canaanites,
He
Israelites,
started shaking back and forth in his chair,
Philistines,
genuinely
Greeks,
tweaking.
Romans, and all that stuff. And then you have like the Arabian influence, which really started around like the 7th century.
Right, exactly.
You know, but just because you have a lot of, I guess, Arab influence within the region doesn't mean that there aren't people who have specifically ties deeper than that because of how long you live in the region. You just like mixed with a lot of their culture.
Sure, linguistically, religiously, they're Arab, right? And even genetically, to a significant extent, they're actually Arab. In the 1992
Oh,
Jerusalem
laugh.
Zionist Congress, the Arabs convened and they said that we are Arabs in every single way. And so they call themselves Arabs. They don't call themselves indigenous people of the land. You can't be both an Arab and a Canaanite. That's impossible, right? And so regardless, yeah, they're still Arab.
I have ancestry in both. I'm just wondering.
You can, but it's not even just about having genetic ancestry to one or the other. It's where you culturally are, right? Like a saying, from the river to the sea, this land will be Arab, and they're not part of any indigenous tradition. They're foreigners, essentially, in reference to what we're talking about.
So like, I agree with you that it's pre-colonial, right? But my stance specifically is that
Why is he fake hard blinking?
other
That's annoying.
culture nations within this region, not people who've been there for a long period of time, who get absorbed into the
I'm
culture,
quirky and unique.
right? That's why you have
That's what he's thinking as he's doing it.
Arab, right? It doesn't mean that they specifically don't have ancestors that tie back pre-colonially. It's just that a lot of like what their culture is now and is going to absorb into like the greater Arab culture. So it doesn't mean they won't be
But that's not even
indigenous, for
necessarily true.
example.
Many of them are simply people that migrated to the land because of the fact that Jewish people were migrating back to their homelands as well. So like what we know about migration patterns, especially during that time period, is people were incentivized to migrate to places where there was economic development, where there was technological development, so on and so forth. So in the 19th century, and even late 18th century, when Jewish people were migrating, or 20th century, when Jewish people were migrating there, what they did was many of them migrated from Arabia, from Egypt, from Syria, from Lebanon, from Jordan into the land, right? Already being Arab in their own culture. For the ones that were absorbed, I'll give it to you. Maybe some of them were absorbed, maybe some of them were Jews that happened to convert for different reasons. That doesn't really matter when you think about the grand thought. When you think about it in a more grandiose way, it doesn't really matter at all. And the reason why it doesn't matter is because this conflict is mainly a religious and cultural conflict. It's not like a measure, okay, Mizrahi, come over here, what's your DNA? Ashkenazi, come over here, what's your DNA? They don't care, right? There are political differences. It's more about what tribe you align yourself with. So when you have Arabs that are saying, Arabs that might have been Arabized or may have been colonized, whatever it may be, saying that they're Arab, that's their tribe. That's how it works. We were talking about the Middle East. Most people, or specifically one main region, Iran and even the Arabs, people look pretty similar to them in that region, right? With some people with differences. But it's more about what you're tribally saying you're connected to. Like, for example, the Tutsi and the Hutu in Rwanda, they look pretty similar as well. But because of that cultural difference, they call themselves distinct, right? And so it's the same way with the Arabs. You can say that some of them were absorbed or Arabized. That doesn't even matter. It's about where their loyalty to. So if they're calling themselves Arab, they simply aren't indigenous because there's no way you can't reconcile both of those things. You can't reconcile adopting a colonizer culture, a colonizer language, and attacking indigenous people, right? And being absorbed into the more dominant culture, dominant society, and also claiming I'm indigenous. Because indigenous people hold to indigenous languages, indigenous practices. Can you name a single indigenous religion that Palestinians have? A single one? No, they really don't have any. You can't give me an indigenous practice. They don't look indigenous.
Pretty sure they have their own dialect of
Yeah,
Arabic.
in that way, they would not be indigenous. But that's not to say that Arabs don't have a connection to the law.
And that's why Jordanians share that same dialect, by the way.
And that
Or at least elements of it.
I just believe, just harking back on what the original saying, that using the term Palestinian was only a political move to fight against Jewish people migrating back to the land. That's one. And two, that name has literally zero connection to it whatsoever.
This is all he talks about. Every single time I join his live, by the way, he's always talking about like their culture and they're like Palestinians aren't real. Like as if this has anything. He never ever talks about the actual actions of Israel and the actual actions of Netanyahu and what he says, what he does. Why are we funding these people? What are the goals that we're trying to accomplish? What is the outcome? Can we even achieve the outcome? That it never ever talks about any of that ever. He's always talking about these random events from like 500 years ago. And obviously it's not totally random. I'm just saying random as in irrelevant is what I really mean into the real discussion. And trying to basically just freaking slander them and just tear them apart where they're like, oh, you're just playing a race game, just a weird like race game. I don't care what they identify as. The people who live in the Gaza Strip right now are being unfairly treated, period. I don't care about if, oh, they're Arab, oh, they're not. Oh, why are you calling yourselves Palestine? That's what the British called you guys. The British called you guys Palestinians. So you're just adopting their colonial culture or whatever. Like, God, bro.
Right? He said there's
Yeah, he says this all the time too. He says
all
this
the same
this
people.
thing every single time I click on this
And
live
the
about
shows that the history is very evident that
Palestine was only
quality.
created
It's why I
as
asked
a
a Palestinian yesterday. I was like, "Hey, what
God.
how
Sorry.
are these distinct from Jordanians?" They said we're basically the same people. Maybe there's like a dialect difference, but we're basically the same people. So yeah, the term didn't come about because they were Yiddish or because they had this pre-colonial sovereign entity. It only came about as, okay, Jews are here now. Let's adopt this random, this term and use it to fight them, essentially, right? That's really what it. That's why I say that it's not genuine because the nationality only came about because Jews were migrating.
Okay, so before the British invaded Palestine, did they call themselves Palestinians?
No. Arabs, they mainly went by their tribal, like their tribe, right? Or they just referred to themselves locally as Arabs, they didn't call themselves Palestinians. I've looked into it. Like, you may find like a one-off instance of Jews and, for example, even Arabs, like rare onesie twosie situations using the term, but mostly Jewish. I'm part of this subgroup, or I'm Arab and I'm part of this family tribe. There was never this thing where they were like, we're Palestinian. We're Palestinian during the Ottoman Empire. We're Palestinian or we're Palestinian during the Mamluks. No, never happened.
It was more like you're saying that it was more like they were Arab, and then they then took the name Palestinian from the British mandate of Palestine in order to fight against the Jews.
Yes. By the way, which is what's actually very interesting about this history is the fact that the Jews were the ones saying free Palestine before the Arabs. That's kind of like the funny thing because the name of the region, like the administrative name.
Okay. Let's pretend as if what he said was true. That the reason that they started calling themselves Palestinians was just to fight back against the Jews. What does this prove? What? So what? Like, genuinely, he says this literally every single time. Every time. When he's live, click on it and listen for 5 minutes. I promise you, I promise you. I promise you, he will bring this up. He brings it up literally every time. What does it prove? Why is this like the foundation for his entire worldview? This thing right here about Palestine isn't actually Palestine. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So what? What does that have to say about, again, all those things that I listed earlier? The actual goals of the actual outcome. He used to kind of dabble in that a little bit. He used to talk about all the time. I guess somebody just totally dismantled all of that because he never brings this up anymore. But he used to talk about we have to eliminate all of Hamas, and he would genuinely, and that was what I told him one time, and he kicked me off, and I was like, it's not realistic that we're going to be able to kill every single member of Hamas. And he was like, we shouldn't stop. I believe we shouldn't stop until we kill them all. Hamas has to be eradicated. They have to be exterminated. Hamas, they can't exist anymore. Until that terrorist threat is gone, then we have to keep the war going or whatever. And I think that's an impossible task. That's never going to happen. It's needless suffering. There are other ways to go about it. There are better ways to go about it than that. And also, you're just fueling the fire. They're just hating Israel more and more. They'll never have a good relationship with Israel, for sure now. For sure. I think October 7th, that could have been a pivotal moment for the better. Israel could have showed them that they're... I won't get into all of this. But point being... there were other ways to go about it, and that's how I would have talked to him about it. And he should actually talk about the actions Israel did and be like, oh well, they're actually not bombing kids, or they're not blockading, or it's not a genocide, or this bomb was justified because Hamas was under the school or something, or Hamas was under the tunnels or something. I guess somebody eventually just did something to totally just make him forget all of that, because he doesn't try to defend any of that anymore at all, ever. He never does. What I told him again one day, and he kicked me this time as well. I told him, I said like, if you if you if like a school shooter went into a school and had a bunch of kids around him, and he was like using the kids as human shields for the police to come in, would it be okay for the police to then shoot through the children and kill the school shooter? No, obviously. That is like the obvious, like, no. You would not expect that. And if that happened, that cop would be fired, that cop would be arrested, that cop would be socially outcast, that cop would be the talk of the entire nation for the next year, for the next forever. It would be an incredible nationwide, worldwide story. Um, but that's the exact thing that they use every single time. They're like, oh well, Hamas was using them as human shields, so we had to bomb through 100 civilians to get one Hamas member. Like, it doesn't make any sense. He couldn't say anything about it. He couldn't say anything to that, and he pivoted to something else, and then eventually it got heated, and he kicked me because he can't take even the slightest amount of pushback. He can be all upset and hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. No, wait, wait, hold on. Let me finish. Let me like. But as soon as you say something to him, he can't take it.
The World Cup recognizes in the country. Who's to say that Matt Nuclear knows everything?
It's not Matt Nuclear that defines it, though. It's the Montevideo Conference of 1933. They don't need to look like the central government, right? And they don't have undisputed borders, and they
They
already
don't have a
have
government.
a central government. No,
Who was elected in 75? Six, sorry.
He's saying that Palestine isn't a nation, and he makes this point again all the time. Similarly, it's so weird that he focuses on this all the time now. This is all he talks about.
central government.
Who cares if they're not actually a nation, if they're not actually technically a country? First off, they are recognized by some people as a country. By others, they aren't. So what? He does this all the time. It's like with the genocide. It's like most people will call them, will say it's a genocide, and then he finds the one group who is like, technically, these guys say it's not a genocide. Like, bro. Genocide, not genocide. If we're debating, right? If it's like, oh, like this right here, it might be, may not be. Like, it's probably bad. Okay. And the same thing with this here. Like, who cares? State, nation, country, territory, whatever. Like, who cares, dude? Who cares? I don't care what we call it. Will you focus on the main point, please? No, he can't. It's not in him.
By the way, if I were you, I wouldn't be arguing for a nation to begin with. If you're pro-Palestine, you're supposed to be arguing for a Palestinian state to come and for free Palestine. If you're saying they're all Palestinians, you're kind of negating your point. But yes, the Olympics
I
doesn't
would
define
think getting back to your I'm sorry, I forget what it's called. Your picture up front that says Palestine is a myth. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, it is a myth, but again, the Olympics does not. You know, I can help you with it. The Olympics does not define nation.
What about the World Cup? Does that not
Yeah, the
define
World Cup is not a political organization.
But
It's defined
Matt Nuclear
nation.
does, right? Matt Nuclear.
Again, bro, what did I tell you? The base of
Something about 1933 that defines the nation. Or
You're obviously not that nuclear does. I am referencing a legal convention. That's what's going on. I'm mentioning a legal convention. You're saying the World Cup. The World
Now, he's right about this one, bro. I mean, some people. That's why, in my opinion, bro, it's useless doing these TikTok debates because you're not gonna get people that actually know what they're talking about on here that often. You're not. You're gonna get people scrolling through TikTok on here a lot often because you're on TikTok. So when people are scrolling through and just see randoms online, doing debates, they're just gonna click it and join and talk. Like, why are we doing this, bro? I would never do one of these. I will never start this. I will debate people, but I will never do this. Well, I don't even know if I'll debate people. I don't know. But I probably will.
already free. Like, are they already free? What do you think? Actually, bro, Palestine's a myth because the World Cup
I'm just gonna pause this and get to when he actually says something fucking useful. Bro, I shouldn't have even paused it. He spent the next like 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, like, does the World Cup have a military? Does it have this? Does it have that? You really think the World Cup is a nation? Really? Embarrassing. That's what he said. That he was like embarrassing. Like, bro, could you be any more insufferable? Holy. Okay, okay, bro. The guy didn't know what he was talking about. Whatever. This, I'll tell you. I'll answer my question I just asked earlier when I was like, why does he even do this? What does he get out of it? Why does he want to talk to these people who are just randomly scrolling through TikTok? Because he just wants to do things like that. He's just like, this stupid guy. He doesn't know as much as I do. He thinks, can you believe it? This guy thinks that if the World Cup allows you to play in their sports, in their competition, then that means you're a country. That's actually what he thinks. I'll pause it again.
No, they weren't offered. No, not a percentage of Israel was actually offered. Well, 6% of the West Bank. 6% of the West Bank. 6% of the West Bank. Let me clarify. 6% of the West Bank. Are you not paying attention to what I'm saying? Just calm down for a second. 6% of the West Bank would be under Israel. 94% of it would be under PA control. Gaza would be expanded to compensate for the 6% of the West Bank that the Palestinians would have access to. Okay? And there would also be a security zone between borders. So why they reject that?
They're finally getting into something that actually matters. But as you can see, what I was just looking up and reading.
That would have happened. Hold on. See, this is how I know. This is how I know you don't know enough about the conflict to have a conversation with me. 94% of the West Bank would be offered, which means any settlements in that 94% territory would be dismantled. So are you saying the entirety of the West Bank and Gaza would be the only deal they could accept?
It's apparently not what they wanted.
Okay, hold on, just one. That's false, but I just want to clarify something. Hold on, that's false, but we can get to that in a second. Nope. Calm down. We're going to be very specific and very direct with what we're doing, okay? So you're saying you can't compensate by expanding Gaza. You're saying you have to give 100% of the West Bank.
I do agree with him. He never had to do that with me, by the way. Had to like mute me. I was never. I can't stand when people do that. He is annoying and retarded, and I would love to have yelled at him, but I didn't.
That's it? I don't want an explanation. I want an explanation. Okay, I don't want an explanation as to why. Okay, great. So hold on. Stop interrupting. How about
Stop interrupting.
of the land that is now right? Well, that's literally what you're supposed to do. I have to like tell you to stop interrupting. What about 80% of Israel? Would that be enough?
Look at his headphones, bro. He can't mess up the fro. I respect it.
What about 80% of the land that we now call Israel? Because if we take the West Bank side, we can just do the math right now. West Bank total size plus Gaza, we can do square miles. Okay? So hold on. So the West Bank is approximately 2,170 square miles. 2,170 square miles.
I really hope nobody sends any of these goofy ass fucking prizes down here at the bottom of this guy.
He left. Of course he left.
Sorry about that if that was loud. Okay, I'm done watching this guy. So I will be thoroughly dissecting this this whole thing later.
Of course he left.
So yeah,
Well, that's because he
thanks for
said
watching.